Hey guys, it's Sierra and today I'm doing my June wrap up. So I know it's like halfway through July already, and the reason I'm doing this late is because I was actually gone for 3 weeks. I was in New York. This is the only reason why I'm doing this super late. It's not because I'm super lazy, it's just because I was just out of town. Nevertheless, in June I read a total of 5 books, which is basically the amount of books I read every single month. It's pretty average for me, so I guess it was not a bad or good reading month. It was just like a normal reading month for me, but I did enjoy some of the books I read, and some other books I didn't like as much. So I'll be talking about all those books today in this video. So the first book that I read in the month of June was I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. So I Wish You All the Best follows Ben DeBacker, who is a non-binary teen, and they recently came out to their parents, but their parents threw them out of the house, so they go to their estranged sister Hannah and Hannah's husband. They live with Hannah and her husband Thomas, and they start a new school, and they're also struggling with anxiety. And at their new school they meet this boy named Nathan Allen, who could be more than just a friend. I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was one of the first books I've read with a non-binary main character, which is kind of sad. I wish there were more out there. There probably are. I should look that up. But yeah, this is the first book that I really had a non-binary teen in it, which was really awesome, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. One of the reasons why I docked a star of this book was that it felt repetitive at times. It just felt like the plot, like the same things were happening over and over and over again. And also one of the things I really enjoyed was the sibling relationship between Ben and their sister Hannah. And one thing that kind of felt weird was that Ben hadn't seen Hannah in like 10 years, and then when they met they were like, it was like they never left. Ben was a little mad at Hannah for a little bit, but like for most part they acted like they had just met like the previous week. There was not that much awkwardness, and it just kind of felt weird, like after 10 years not seeing your sibling and then seeing them, it was like they'd never left, which I guess can happen, but it felt like there should be a little more awkwardness because 10 years is a long time. I also really liked the positive therapist-client relationship in this. Ben has a really great relationship with their therapist, and I really enjoyed that. I haven't seen a lot of therapy or therapists in a lot of YA novels, and this was one of the first where I did see it, and it was a positive relationship, which I really enjoyed. And Ben like took their therapist's words to heart, and like there's also good like medication representation in this. Medication is seen as in a positive light, because I know in some novels it can be seen in a negative way, but yeah, I really enjoyed that, and that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this novel. The second book that I read in the month of June was a library book that I've since have returned, and that is Searcy by Madeline Miller. Now Searcy I gave 2.75 out of 5 stars. And I know, I'm also surprised because so many people love this book. They gave it 5 out of 5 stars. That's why I was so excited to read this book, because there were so many great reviews about it. But I ended up giving it 2.75 out of 5 stars. First of all, I did not like the first half at all. I don't know if it was just, the writing was a little pretentious and a little dense. And I feel like in my mindset I was kind of looking for a light contemporary or like a lighter book, in like, if you know what I mean. And I guess I feel like Searcy wasn't the best option, or like the best book that I could have read at the time. But like the first half I was confused all throughout. I was either bored or confused. I didn't know what was going on. It was just not a fun time for me. I liked the second half. Like I was more interested in some parts of the second half, and I was only interested in some parts, and other parts I was just completely bored. I guess the writing, the best way I can explain it is that it took a lot of concentration for me to read. Sometimes I just want to read where I can like you know when you watch TV, sometimes there's shows like where you have to really pay attention to what they're saying, and sometimes they're like rom-coms where you don't have to pay that much attention. It's just like a fun light movie. That's like kind of the same thing with books. I was kind of looking for a rom-com or like a light story that I wouldn't have to pay too much attention to, or I could just read really quickly. But I guess I chose Searcy, which is probably not the best option, so I had to concentrate more on reading it, which I didn't really want to do, and it took me, like, I had to like force myself to pick it up. I was this close to TNFing it, but I didn't, because there was so many people that said it was so good. I just wanted to push through and see if I really liked it at the end. because sometimes it can redeem itself, but it just didn't for me. I just really didn't like it, and I feel like it was probably the timing that I read it. I feel like if I read it sometime in the future, not like in the near future, but sometime in the future, I'll like enjoy it more if I'm like committed to it and I really am in the right headspace to read it. But yeah, for this read, I really didn't like it. The third book that I got was also from the library, and that is The Novice by Taryn Mathew. So this book is, I think, pretty old, and it was actually a Wattpad story before it was published as a novel, and that's actually really cool because I used to write on a writing website, and it's always really cool to see success stories from those. So yeah, it was actually from a Wattpad story, and I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars. I actually really enjoyed it. The writing is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of flowery writing or metaphors that a lot of people, aka Roshni Chokshi, have. And there's not a lot of like flowery, like beautiful writing. It's a very straightforward writing. Sometimes it could be info dumpy, which like it's fine sometimes, but like sometimes it would be paragraphs and paragraphs of info dumpy stuff, and it just sometimes got boring. And that was like the only part that I didn't like about the writing. Another reason why Dr. Star was that I could never really tell like what the kids' ages were. I'm pretty sure they were meant to be like 16 or 17 even, or maybe 15. I don't know. This is a YA novel, I'm pretty sure, but sometimes the kids acted like they were middle grade. Sometimes I forgot it was a YA novel, and I was like, they felt like 12-year-olds to me, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I could never really tell what ages they were supposed to be, and sometimes they acted really immature and childlike. So that was, I was kind of confused at that point, like what age is this? Is it middle grade? If it's middle grade, then it's fine. Then the way they acted was fine. They acted like normal middle grade 12-year-olds. But if it's supposed to be YA, it felt a little mature for me. Immature. Like their antics kind of felt a little immature to me at times, and the way they spoke to each other. This book kept me mostly interested. It was actually really fun for me. It was kind of a fun read for me. It wasn't that like I didn't have to pay attention to it that much. It was like not too much concentration. It was kind of like a perfect read for me. And also one of the other reasons I really enjoyed it was that there's like, I play World of Warcraft, and there's a lot of like orcs and elves and high fantastical elements like that, which I really enjoyed. So this book reminded me a lot about World of Warcraft, which I really enjoyed, and I love that game, so I really enjoyed reading this book. The fourth book that I read was also from the library, and that is Girl Gone Viral by Arvin Amadi. I first picked this book up because Emma from Emma Books actually did a video with Arvin Amadi, and when Arvin explained what the book was about, it sounded really intriguing to me because I really love virtual reality worlds, and I really love like video games. Books like Ready Player One and Warcross are some of my favorite books of all time. So yeah, I just really like those aspects of books, and this book was also about a virtual reality. It followed this girl named Opal who's trying to figure out how her father died. So it's kind of like a little mystery aspect to it, and she one day enters this contest and with this data hack, and she goes viral, and the winner of this contest is able to go see the maker of this virtual reality world called Wave, and she thinks that that creator has a link to her father's death. I actually really like the virtual reality aspect. Sometimes I really didn't understand how it worked. I don't know if it was just me or the writing, but yeah, sometimes it just felt like I don't know what's going on. I don't know how this is working, so sometimes it felt confusing, but for the most part I really like the virtual reality aspect. This book also has a lot more social commentary than some other virtual reality books I read, like Ready Player One and Warcross. It talks a lot about like society and technology and its effects, because in this world there's a political party that is totally against technology. It hates it, it wants to get rid of it, and it wants to put limitations on it, which was really an interesting aspect of it, and I really saw like both sides of the conversation, which I really enjoyed. There's also less action in this book than the other VR books that I've read. There's a lot more relationship focus in this book, which is not bad. I just wanted a little bit more action than there was. But I actually really liked the mystery aspect. Sometimes it felt like the ending was like the way I was not expecting. Like I thought it would be more than what it was. I thought it would be like a really big revelation at the end, like how her father died, but it really wasn't. I wasn't that impressed, or like I wasn't that shocked. But yeah, the ending also kind of felt rushed, and it was kind of open-ended, which I feel like I could have been closed more, because it is, I think it's a standalone book, so I don't know, I don't think there's gonna be a sequel, but the way it ended, it was just not satisfactory enough for me. And the last book that I read in the month of June was Again But Better by Christine Riccio. I actually took my sweatshirt off because it's really hot. Anyway, yeah, Again But Better by Christine Rizzo, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars, like 3.75-ish to 4. This book follows a girl named Shane who is going to study abroad in London for the first time. She goes there, she falls in love with a boy, and it's basically her story in London. Basically, she's not very happy with her life back in the US, so she goes to London to basically get a little bit of a fresh start. I know there's a lot of mixed reviews on this book. I know a lot of people have said that the main character Shane is like Christine, which I totally agree with. Main character is basically Christine. Like Christine's username is Poland Bananas 20. Like her channel is Poland Bananas Books, but her other channel is Poland Bananas 20. And in this, Shane's blog name is French Watermelon 19, which is really weird. Yeah, it just felt like very much like Christine, and I don't know if that was intentional or that was an accident. Like it was like a self-insert book because one, Christine has also gone to London to study abroad, so I don't know exactly how much of the events that happened in this book are true to like what happened in her study abroad experience. But yeah, it just felt like Christine, and it felt like it was her autobiography where she was like, I'm gonna tell you why you should study abroad, because she's been so, even in videos she's like so adamant, like she really wants everyone to study abroad. So I feel like this is like, you should study abroad, like an autobiography type thing. I don't know exactly. Another thing was that sometimes the main character felt kind of immature. Like she's 20 I think in this book, but she acts like sometimes like a teenager. She's like overly enthusiastic, she's super naive, she's just very happy-go-lucky type person, which I guess is also Christine, but I just didn't like that aspect of the book. Her personality in while she was studying abroad was not my favorite. Even though it is Christine, I kind of don't want to say it's like I'm saying bad about her personality, but like the way it was written in this book was not enjoyable to read. But overall it was a fun story. I did enjoy it, so I gave like a 3.75 to 4-ish stars. So yeah, that is it for my June wrap up. I actually read a lot of library books this month, I'm realizing, which is really great. I always read from the library when I can. But yeah, that is it for this video. Let me know down below what was your favorite book that you read in the month of June, as I would love to know. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!